timing. I'm saying when it comes to the photos, they moving too slow. There we go. Finally, catching in with time. And that was a joke, I just said that a little bit ago. I need to work on my reading skills, as in reading from sheet, right? Because writers don't in fact read, we write. That's a joke. That's in fact a play on words. That's a joke. Writers in fact do read as well as write, and yet that's funny. You get what I'm saying? Because see, to write anything behind the scenes or anything else is to say, writers are in fact going to put more effort in the writing skills more so than the speaking skills. That's ammunition in what I just said. Hello, their discovery with that sort of thing. To know that you write a lot as well as read a lot, and yet you're not reading out loud as you're writing things. Some writers in fact do that sort of thing, and yet not all of us do that sort of thing, right? But to sit right here on camera is to say this is a totally complete opposite feel with that. It's totally different is what I'm trying to say, because to be observed is to say, well, let me sit up straight and say things the right way. Or maybe not. Maybe I should just be reckless in the mouth, because maybe what I'm saying I should have never said, and yet I'm going to say it anyway because it helps to be real and not fake with that. So like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. Some of the stuff I say in life you should never say, and yet I'm sitting here with pen and paper. As in, I'm not an actor or actress. I just love to write, right? And yet to be with Discovery is to be called out on even self, where even I fumble over words or skip a few pieces as I'm thinking and going, trying to process information in my own brain about the day, or possibly the day before, and skipping words and all that other stuff is to say where you're a mess. And even many viewers can tell even that, because remember, I'm a writer, right? Shouts out to the viewer. So, ex-lovers, Tony Bennett was in fact handsome back in his day, and Steven still even is in today. So all type of people that in fact live amongst the public, rich, famous, and poor and broke, right? Live and die, be just as handsome in life as just as handsome even in death. Hell, some people dead and don't know. That's when I said you shouldn't joke on here, Discovery, that's in fact funny, as in it needs to be called out how I can't be soft spoken with that, how there's in fact human beings breathing and they're in fact dead. They just don't know, right? So ex-lovers and the feuds which go with it. 92 years old, and that being Tony Bennett and his ex-wife, right? Tony Bennett. When I think of Tony Bennett, I just think of the mafia all over again, as in suited and booted, completely mafia style, with that sort of thing. When I think of mafia, I tend to think of Michael Jackson, but I'm gonna leave even that alone, as what has been said, right? So she had Tony Bennett's ex-wife. She had some words, and I don't mean good words, of Bennett, calling him a very drugged out fool. Calling him a drug out fool. You see Amy Winehouse up in the photo above, right? Even she has a look-alike and ain't telling. I'm saying there's people out here that look like her a lot. So yeah, her saying that him being a drugged out fool, a very old drugged out fool, that's to hit it low blow twice, right? It's been known Bennett married a lady young enough to be his daughter, days after their divorce was final. That will make anybody slightly bitter or something, right? Because they say, well, you didn't want me, right? She went on to say Bennett was not the nicest person in the world he portrayed himself to be. He portrayed himself supposedly to be nice, and yet she's saying that he wasn't. Sandra Grant Bennett is the woman who shared such. She said he rejected her as she raised their two daughters. There's bitter in that. See, I could sit on this camera for hours on end and speak about how when you're with somebody and then it's over and then they go in on you, all the way in on your ass as in to target you and make the public be in disbelief as in what they say about you. And use bitterness as the baseball bat. Slandering and swinging at you and all the rest just so public could try to make sense of what was happening over there, because even that spreads gossip. Yeah, it just has to, right? And so, and the piece of detail is interesting since she helped save him. This whole bitterness is interesting because she helped to save him from dying of an overdose. Long ago. Long ago. I was going to say old as Jesus Christ, but not that far gone, right? She saved him. Which too, sometimes women, when women get real emotionally invested in a man and say he's not providing back something in the way that she feels, right? That's where the bitterness stems from too. Because see, to know that a man's life could have been taken in a form of overdose and yet you help save him is to say, well, what do you have? Deep-rooted issues in the department of bitterness. Because he more than likely didn't provide back in ways that you did. Oftentimes in relationship is give and take. It is. That's how men and women are created. That's how all sexes and preferences are created, right? We're all created equal, right? And it's the gifting of exchange is what I'm trying to say. And yet just because you do something for one person, don't always think in sense they're going to do the same for you. Because people can be selfish. And we know that, right? And yet, it's looking like she didn't know that. So, as they were having children, it wasn't possible for them to travel as much. That was back in the day. As they were having children, it wasn't possible for them to travel as much together. And that, in fact, made Tony Bennett, the man himself, that made him become irritated. Because he wanted to travel with her more, right? His drug consumption was like the number one concern of hers. Because of him using drugs made him paranoid. I think that would make me concerned too, me being with somebody and they're paranoid, because even lives can be killed in that. Somebody walking through the house all paranoid, looking around and all that other stuff. There's all type of issues that come with paranoia, and some people have been known to kill their whole family in the house as it's happening based upon drug consumption. So that's what she was concerned about. Back in 1977, Bennett's mom died along with their... Yes, let me rewind that back and say it properly. Back in 1977, Bennett's mom died. And along with there not being much work for him outside of Las Vegas area, he ended up overdosing on cocaine before passing out in a bathtub. That's how it happens. To be a Hollywood star and be on the rise and have been again and again and still up is to say, well, what is up oftentimes come down or sometimes hit midway and yet not completely fall off. Many celebrities do fall all the way off. That's how many of them commit suicide, right? And yet for Tony Bennett to have your mom die and you got personal issues outside of just your fame as well, and then you got a wife and now you got kids going on with that, is to say that's a lot going on, and now you can't find work, and if you do it's somewhat semi-decent, right? Las Vegas is very decent, and yet for a celebrity of, say, his stature is to say, well, status, is to say for him that wouldn't have been enough. Celebrities are like to be on up above on the rise. Many of them all the time, right? And so to not have it that way is in fact fall into drug addiction, in which he did the overdose on cocaine before passing out in the bathtub. When Sandra, the woman I spoke on, the lady with this bitterness, right? The ex. When she arrived home during his overdose situation, she rushed him to the hospital. And he did admit he, yes, used drugs. She was the one that found him when I said she saved his life, which could be why she felt she was owed something by him, more so in love. And possibly more, you never know what even she ain't saying, right? That's because she found him in that way. How would all Tony Bennett fans have felt? Because I'm sure there's fans that in fact hate that woman or might not like her And yet, once again, she saved his life, right? That's not saying I'm on her side to pick fights, none of that, right? That's just to look at everything at all angles, right? Tony Bennett wouldn't have even lived or been alive if it wasn't for that woman, despite her anger and bitterness, right? So yeah, she rushed him to the hospital, and he once again did admit he used drugs in the 70s, and he also went cold turkey. Sandra and Bennett became involved with one another while he was married to Patricia, a woman by the name of Patricia, his first wife. Patricia was the mother of 2 sons. They, meaning Bennett and Patricia, divorced the year of 1971, which came after Sandra gave birth to their daughter Joanna in 1970. Many men with these, that's so, the double standard of that men can have, that's been the talk of discussion since the beginning of time. Many men can have many women, and yet many women can't have many men. That just don't make sense in American society. I'm a nonconformist. I practice what I choose and feel any time of the day, and I advise other people to think for self with even that. Because to break a few rules is to live a wholesome life, despite you being told of what not to do. Because see, people that tell people, well, you shouldn't have multiple this or that, multiple that, you shouldn't have this, right? That, I'm saying if you do it the right way, it's ways to do everything, right? But people that tell you to do that type of thing, those are the same individuals that do stuff in the dark at night, or possibly even in the daytime. Sometimes really religious people can be that way. Sometimes mayors and politicians can be that way. That's not a negative call out, but that's to say sometimes, and I keep saying sometimes, my apologies with the sometimes, right? That's to say people help to create, invent rules and even laws, and yet even those sort of people don't even live by those sort of things. There's more videos I should be making in even my free time about some of the stuff that I bring up in these videos. The laws that are made for human beings to follow, and yet people that dress in suit and ties oftentimes don't follow those laws and rules. They just don't. That's real. That's real life. That there's no lie in that, as in see in between, as in to go on what I'm saying. Trust and believe there is in fact mayors, politicians, and all the rest that they don't follow what they're telling you and I to follow. Even those the legislation and all that don't follow. They're just suited and dressed so to help keep you in order with that, to keep population control with that sort of thing. And yet to come up in life is a seed, all in between. As in the know. That's why it helps to be study and use your mind wisely to gain information. Not everybody can think for self to take the chance to want to know, well, why is this and why is that? Well, why can they tell me to do this and they over there? Well, what are they doing over there in secret and this and this and that? They're more likely breaking the law just as much as you, and yet they're a mayor or politician. That just has to be said. So yeah, children oftentimes lead to marriage. That's a true statement. I said that myself, right? So Sandra and Bennett got married and had Antonia, which is and was their second child. She arrived in birth in 1974. But not only that, Sandra was pissed about the way Bennett handled finances, which was her other issues, what brought on bitterness as well. Because if a man don't properly funnel his funds the right way, as I say, disaster could await in that. Homelessness can follow something like that. The finances with that, she said their home was taken from them because he owed so much in back taxes. They had nowhere to live. That's how it goes. You'll be completely out of house and home, not knowing how to organize your finances or even knowing and understanding risk management in the area of business with finances. Not throwing away money so quickly. That's risk management. Ask any business. Go ask Wall Street. They'll know. Sandra is and was saying financial problems caused both she and her daughters to have nowhere to live while Bennett was walking around. The financial issues and mismanagement with that is what caused she and her daughters to have nowhere to live. Issues. The struggle and the inner turmoil with that. So Sandra and Bennett separated in 1979, but didn't officially divorce until 2007. Soon after, Bennett wedded a Susan Crowe. Men with these wives, right? That's not men bashing, it's not male bashing. No, it's not, dear viewer. Soon after, Bennett wedded a Susan Crowe. And in discovering Bennett became married, Sandra herself wished the very old fool off with that. Those are her words and not mine. Because, see, I keep pausing because of the double standards with all. Yeah, she wasn't. It just you're with somebody to get with somebody. You're with somebody on top of that to get with somebody while you're with somebody, and then creating kids in the process. No woman would ever really be respected with that sort of thing. I'm saying if a woman were to do that, she would be called a whore all up and down the block. Yeah, with that, and possibly even worse. Sometimes rape stands in that. Women that say are perceived as loose because they have too many men, right? In the world we live in, some men will want to take advantage of a woman like that, and yet with a man they wouldn't, or something. No, did I say that right or did I say that wrong? Some men would want to take advantage of a woman that is not living within the context of normal society, and her having different partners swinging all this way and that way, right? A grown man or anybody outside, whatever, will want to rape her or something, because people do stuff like that, right? That's why you got crime, true crime and all that, what we're on right now, right? And yet with a man, a woman is not going to do that. She'll just more than likely talk behind his back. Does that make sense? Something like that. So yeah, ID Discovery Investigation Discovery.com is the website we're in fact on for you to come back to check this out. That's why we're here. ID logo sits in the far left corner. Live now, Deadly Women. Shouts out to Paula. Recommended for you. Each one of these in fact hold a description. You can click plus to add the favorites. Scrolling through each one. No, not voodoo, not even Illuminati. People need to get off of that as well. What I just said. As in decipher what I just said. Some things exist, yes, they in fact do, but not to the level. In fact, some people fear what I just said when I said not even Illuminati. People would in fact see stuff that I got hanging up, photos flashing, and say, oh my gosh, Illuminati. Helps not to fear. That's why you should pick up a book and study. Things are not always what you think and believe. As in, there should be no fear. Learn. There we go. Have an open mind enough to learn. You never know. Unlike episodes, to get an audio-visual preview is to click the play button. You can in fact add to watch later by clicking here. Cold Valley, Season 1, Episode 1. All of these are they move in rotation with that. On last night, to gain access is to click here, the key, the padlock. To gain access with that, you're going to put in your provider with that. Unlock series. ID Go Original Series. Let me just shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda. I always have to say that because that is my dude. It in fact is. Crime Feed News. To gain access to the Crime Feed. Crime Feed News. Yes, crimefeed.com. It's a click right within here and you're going to be directed on the outside to Crime Feed News. It just has to happen. To receive a newsletter is to type your email address in and click next. And that's all to be said for now. I try to space my videos out in timing. That's to not make them all short. I really don't like short videos like that. I don't. I like things to be much more longer. Because see, when I replay many of these, and I in fact do as in watch them to see what I said and how I said it as in properly. When I don't, but not only that, that will be a waste of time and space to say, well, did you design that? Well, yeah, designing goes into everything, baby. That sounds like OG talk. And yet that will be a waste of space to have something looking nice, somewhat, despite everything clashing that face, and yet have short videos with that. No, it helps to have a lifelong process, as in go longer in the footage. And I am. Yes, I am. So yeah, leave me a comment below. Did you like Tony Bennett? Did you ever listen to his music? With that expression, creative expression, you can even draw down in the comment section if you feel. And yet there ain't nothing down there, not even no Play-Doh or no Lego, something like that. So yeah, just leave me a comment with that. Have you ever experienced a bitter feud with any of your exes? I want to know.